Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Faryal Razak, and we are here with our live lectures, Listen to Experts. Today, we are very lucky that we have with us Dr. Faisal Aftab, who is a very prolific researcher, and he has established a lot of, universities and the department. He had been in Pakistan, and right now he is serving in Dammam, Imam Abdul Rahman bin Faisal
Business.
University. So, Dr. Saab is an expert in strategic management, and his area of expertise lies between technology management, strategic, and he has established ORIC in Behaviour University as well. He had been, director ORIC as well as HOD in Behaviour University. So, without much ado, welcome, sir, to the show. We are very honored that you have given us time to be here with us, and for such an important topic, that men's behavior towards women, because I don't know why there is such a big divide between what men's and what women, and the rights movement, and then it is all blurred by that feminism and all that. So, sir, welcome to the show, and we would
Thank you very
really
much.
like that. Please tell us your huge projects. You have been conducting so many projects for UNDP and all that. So we would like to hear from you all the accomplishments and all the great things that you had been doing. So please, sir, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's indeed a pleasure and an honor to be with you. And it's although I'm in Saudi Arabia, but my heart is back in Pakistan, and I miss Pakistan a lot. But it's a sort of just to give you sort of research work that I did for social sciences. It was a United Nations UNAIDS project, and I was the coordinator for that. We collected the data from Pakistan for mapping the AIDS within Pakistan as well. The key areas we identified, the hot spots, and then we identified the key areas where we need to concentrate and focus on in order to reduce the number of AIDS patients, and how to proceed further. So this whole strategy for AIDS is being based on the study which we did 2 years back. And this study is a
Amazing.
sort of a landmark study, and it provides us a clear mapping in Pakistan how to do it. So within that, I think I had a lot of opportunity to see Pakistan from the real Pakistan, I would say. Why? Because I was able to go to remote areas, distant, far areas where access is limited, where education is limited, and I was able to see those areas and people's perspective as well, because we had a face-to-face meetings and with many of the people there as well. So it was one of the interesting studies I did for social sciences as well. But other than that, I've done a lot of technological studies as well, development of softwares, integration of software with the schooling systems. I've also been contributed some of the studies which led to glass ceiling perspective, and I was lucky to have 6 great students who have now become PhDs and doctors. I'm honored to have them. So it was a pleasure in terms of going through all these career progressions and learning as well.
Thank you so much, sir. And it's really very important, and the work that you have done. And the
Thank you.
work that you have done is actually very significant. I mean, in terms of like the mapping that you're telling, and of course the experiences that you share, that to go to the interior Punjab, because most of the things is that we hear,
Yeah,
very few NGOs are there, and they have their
yeah,
own set of
yeah,
agendas and things that very narrow focus of work that they are doing. So,
yeah,
sir, coming back to the topic of today, men's behavior towards women.
yeah,
Unfortunately, Saudi Arabia is also not at a good list when it comes to
mhm,
women's right, and
yeah,
in Pakistan, there is already a hue and cry. Especially the
mhm,
recent events, certain recent events have also sparked a lot of anger and skepticism. Even if I had to travel right after that motorway incident to another city, my family was very skeptic. I was very scared. So where I was
Yeah.
going, I told them that no, I will not go by any from airport to hotel. I will not take any transport from the local transport. You have to send me the transport,
Yeah.
because I don't trust you going to another city. So
Absolutely.
the insecurity is very real, actually, sir, because
Yeah.
being a woman, I can tell you. So where does it sprout about? Where does it come from?
Well, I think we have to go a bit of into the historical perspective, how women have been treated in the past, and how men have actually taken over the authoritative role, and because of that authoritative role, they have the ability to utilize the power for them. So even if you go back to some of the critical studies, you would find that men had a sort of it's what they say is some man's world, and you can even identify that through some of the studies, which are very interesting. That even to an extent where a simple door that you open, the kind of force that you have to put in, the doors are also made for men as well. So this is where, because we do not consider the women's perspective, the ability of women, we do not take that into account, and we consider that it's the whole world is now created as a man's world. So this dimension, well, it existed and persisted for a long time. And because of that, women, instead of playing an equal role, was considered to be, more of an image was drawn where they have the softer image in comparison with men, and the softer image was then distorted. Okay, no, they cannot work at outside, so they must be kept in home. Which they have done a marvelous job in terms of, if you look at the historical, and they have raised the families, and it's by the way, full-time job. And you, being a mother, you can understand it quite well how difficult it is. So
Absolutely.
I fully give credit to women in terms of going through that process and raising the family. It is also one of the requirements. Now, saying this, the software image is now changing. Why it is changing? Because there is an economic requirement. There is a requirement because number of women in this globe are more than men now. There's a high percentage of women who are living in this on the earth. So their role, if they do not come into play into the economic perspective, then the countries, especially, they will not flourish. But however, there are hindrances. Like you're talking about those incidences which have happened, and it is because of the mindset. It is all about the aspect of people thinking women, that's something which has that sort of a role which existed within homes. But if they're out, then obviously they're not doing something right. In European culture, for example, it is okay if women smoke, for example, and men are also smoking. But in Pakistan, if men are smoking, it's fine. But if women are smoking, then what happens? You think, she's not of a good character.
She's a bad woman.
She's a bad woman. I mean, would the cigarette make a man okay? I mean,
Macho.
he's macho or he's sophisticated. Well, if women smoke, then it's going to be, it's going to tarnish their image. So it's all about shattering those images, which we have perceived, unfortunately, by by sort of giving them sort of an oppressive way. And that is why you see the extreme sides coming up as well. The as far as the crime is happening, I think that is very alarming for any country. It is not only limited to Pakistan. It is actually there's a lot of crime against women in the developed countries like USA, in UK, and other. We've just seen a recent video where a Muslim woman was beaten in Australia. So it is not limited to within Pakistan, but it is had the spread around with different reasons. One is acceptability. I think the most important thing is that we have to change our mindsets. We have to change that women are not equal, but they have different kind of requirements, and those requirements have to be understood. It's not that, yes, I mean, if you physically, if you're examining to men and women, obviously men would have maybe more ability to open the door very quickly, whereas women will sometimes would have trouble. I can give you another example. It's most common in households that you would find that women will not be able to open the jars. When you got the pickle or a jam jar, it's so hard to open. So you will give it to your one of the people who are males in the house. You will give them try to open it. So that's what I'm talking about. This is where we have to think minutely. We have to start thinking from that level where the requirement of women are, because they are have the capacity and capability. They can work much more than men, but it depends on the nature, because we have to change that environment where they can become equal as well. So it's yeah, please go ahead.
Yes. No, please complete it.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is where you would find that small things, we really have to, if we want to change our culture, we really have to understand that women have some special studies have to be done. And those studies would bring us those elements, the small elements where women required to be required to be part of that environment. If you create that environment, then women will flourish better. So
coming to the strength, I always had a kind of a disagreement here. That, of course, it's a fact that women are weaker, as compared to men. But then there is a spectrum of strength in men as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, all the men are not very strong. So even the men who are not even stronger than women get the virtue and all the benefits of being men. And there are very strong women as well. So I think this part of strength is overplayed in my point of view. I mean, just this argument that so there's a spectrum there as well. So this mindset is you're absolutely right, Kate. It goes back into the history, maybe as old as the history itself, because men were supposed to be a little stronger, so they would be doing hunting and whatever and all that thing. But this, especially after the COVID, when the COVID hit, and we saw the violence, the domestic violence got a real surge. I mean, a lot of cases were reported and a lot of things happened. So this is very alarming, actually, this domestic violence, and especially after COVID, and when you are stuck with your partner, it's a lockdown or some situation like that. So this behavior, I mean, let's talk about why, first of all, why, and then how we can change it. I mean, this needs to be changed. I mean, there has to be researches, like you said. So how would you say that the reasons that men feel that it's okay, there are no boundaries with the women, and it's and even still, if you see, women are not paid enough for the same job, even in the West.
Yeah.
So it's a long struggle that is going on. And then a few of the women's that portray as being, um, feminist, and they hijack the agenda of the actual things happening. So you have been traveling to the interior of Pakistan. So tell us
Mhm.
about the quality of life the women have in the interior of Pakistan, the far-flung areas.
Yeah, I think the overall in Pakistan as well, the quality of life is not that good, and especially through the recession time that we have, it has deteriorated further. The the thing which you're talking about is the family feuds, which you're talking about, internal family problems and all. These things have actually increased because of the crisis. One of the crises is the financial perspective. If a man is contributing only and the whole family is relying on that, and the man does not allow women to go out to work because he thinks that there would be the, what would the neighbors say, or what would be the other people say, that your wife is working, or your daughter is working. That sort of stigma that exists, that it adds the things, ignites it further when they come back and they cannot provide enough food, for example, or enough money to support their family. That sort of ignited further. So within the families, you would find that issue as well. The other aspect is, I think we have over the years, it's much more that women workers, although there are some heroes who have come up, and I've seen even in the remote areas, there are women who are working and they are contributing, but that is only because of the family support. Their father, their brothers, or their uh, the husbands are supporting them. So only then they can work, because but seeing it as we said, and unfortunately that quote, why she was there was one that at night you cannot travel, for example. Now, if what is that kind of issue is basically that there's an insecurity. Women are being seen as an object, right? An object, a desirable object, that they are there to fulfill your needs. That's where we have to break. That's the idea we have to break. They are not objects; they are subjects, and then we need to break that sort of a thought process that they are, first of all, are human being, and they have to be treated as a human being. And then the second aspect is that what sort of climate we have to create, what kind of environment, culture we have to create, so that they come, they can easily go out and not consider to be a dangerous place that that we are thinking, because just one incident could actually think in our mind, it sort of creates a bad image, and then we try to resist doing things which we should have done. A woman should go out, anywhere, and she should not be scared. But yet, it is happening because of this issue that there's repeatedly some repeated issues have emerged, and that's why people are thinking, no, this is something which is bad for the female side. So. The real problem that in interior area is again, as I said, is the mindset, the culture we have to change. And this is when we're talking about Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is breaking that culture. It is one of the interesting perspective that now women are driving. Now women are allowed to work as well. They are working on the tills. They're working in the cafeterias. They're working in the stores. They have so there is, because again they have also realized that even Saudi Arabian economy will not run well unless women take a part in it, because there's a majority of women still also living in Saudi Arabia. More than 50% are women. So the women are, in fact, I've been teaching the courses to both male and female side. And I realized there's women are working extremely hard because now they've given opportunity. They're performing very well, much better than the men are performing. So women are now trying to come up and fight with the existing structures. And those structures were made by us, by men. So this is what I was trying to tell you. Then the small things, even the small structures that we're talking about, or the bigger governmental structures, we need to identify that the right amount of authority and power should prevail within the government as well. So we can encourage women to come in as well, and they can work, as much as they want. They want to have a role in the Pakistan economy or even Saudi's economy as well. So there are a lot of projects which are going on these days, especially women entrepreneurship is an extremely important here as well. And they're focusing on that. Many women are now becoming entrepreneurs, starting up their businesses or contributing towards, economy and to improving their life as well.
So women had always been into unpaid labor. I don't know why is there's some kind of echo on my end. They have always been unpaid labor. Like in the fields, they had been, when the crop season would come, they would be there. But it is supposed to be that they are supposed to work, but it was an unpaid labor. So they have been part of economy one way or another. I mean, they had been contributing, especially in the poor countries like ours. But now is the time that this has to be recognized. Childbearing and then child raising is a full-time job, but then that is why, because there is a religious perspective that is exploited as well, that Islam doesn't give rights, that they should be in the house, this is the preferred place and all that. So this narrative also distorts the reality and this misogynistic thoughts also, because they don't see the real Islam here, the real teaching here, but they try to manipulate it. So this blended, culture and religion and the suitable religion has distorted the reality. So, sir, taking it forward, what other steps that we can change to change the men? Because I think this all starts from the emotional mismanagement, right from the when a boy is being told that if even an adult woman has to go, she's supposed to take a male child with her for security. So this is where the boy gets the sense of power as well.
Yeah. I think this is extremely, as we were talking about, it is not religious, by the way. I mean, I'm seeing Saudi Arabia and other Muslim countries, you would find that women here would be sitting at 3 o'clock. We have a very nice, I'm living here in Khubar, and this very nice Cornish and beach here. And the families or women sitting there at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, even together. They have a culture where, women go together as well, or going with families, and they're sitting there. Nobody is pressured in terms of whether they're alone or, there's something wrong could happen. Because the compliances are strict, it's much more the rules, regulations, which also exist in Pakistan as well. But unfortunately, we're not following them. They are not being taken up with a rigor. In terms of what I used to say, that a democracy gives you a lot of rights, but limited to yourself. Your breathing is your right. But the person in front of you, the person who is standing on the other side, your rights just stop where your breathing is there. It's very close. And the other person's right becomes more important as well. So you have to take care of that as well. So even, that's something which we really have to inculcate in our education, that we are human beings. We have learning perspective. We have in our educational system, we have to understand that this sort of cliches that women cannot do anything, there's any stronger thing, as we were talking about. Obviously, women, there are things which women are known to be better than men. For example, in especially because I deal with management perspective, the complex nature of studies, complex nature of decision making. They have ability to do a lot of parallel processing as well, because God has gifted them in that sort of a thinking mode where they can think many things simultaneously. And that complexity could be quite useful for any of the managerial positions, although we don't see many women at the top positions, working as CEOs of the organizations and all. Very few
Or
are
at the
there.
board members as well.
Yeah, even the board members as well. So this is where you would find that abilities, those abilities, we need to nurture them and further, and we can, enhance them, and that will be quite useful for the organizations that would induct them, and they can run very well as well. Another perspective from your angle is the emotional angle as well. I think how to harness the emotions where the ownership of women is sort of weakened to an extent. We don't want to own them. We want to sit beside them. We want to go side by side. It's the ownership perspective which comes to our brain that, all the time that we think, we have to either keep them safe, or if someone is outside, okay, I need to own that woman. That thought process, I think we need to back out a bit, and that thought process needs to be changed within our mindsets as well.
So then it comes back to that empathy and the
Yeah.
boundaries, and
Mm-hmm.
the rights are
Absolutely.
should be part of the core courses right from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And the distinction that is not men and women, it's humans,
Yeah.
and what they can do. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even in Quran, this is that the best person is the one who's more virtuous, and not on
Yeah.
the basis of gender or
Absolutely.
even the race.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not what Islam is, and some people are exploiting this very thing and creating hardliners, and even in the women. I mean, the women are like all against men. This is not a war between men and women. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you said, that it's a mindset. So this mindset, could you please give us some quick tips how to inculcate in the academia, that
Yeah.
at least these negative traits that we see, and the rising of these crimes and the conflicts. I mean, we have to mitigate it. So how, I
Yeah.
mean, like towards the end, I would really like that. Please give us some tips and techniques, and that we'd like to pick your brain on that.
Mm-hmm. I think it in a true spirit of Islam has to be seen, where women are actually have been empowered. I mean, that's one of the religion which allowed them to vote, to and to work as well. So that religion gives you a lot of perspective. But again, our problem, especially when you're talking about Pakistan, our problem is that we have picked up lots of cultural movements which emerge from the state of India. And in that thought process, a lot of rituals of other religions came into our part of mindset as well. So we need to break that. I mean, this is something which we really have to understand, that what Islam really tells about women is that it's the equality perspective, uh, the respect aspects as well, the understanding aspect as well. What are their requirements, and then accordingly, taking care of those requirements. So we really have to revamp our curriculum as well, where we need to inculcate that within our ethics, that how the women have to be treated, and they should not be considered as an object. They are human beings. They should be treated equivalently, and your how to, and especially this is where from the man side, you really have to create a curriculum where from an ethical perspective you how to channelize your desires in a better manner. This is where you have to, as you talked about boundaries as well. Yes, you have to respect, you have to follow your own boundaries, and you have to respect other people's boundary as well. So that's sort of that's a social culture. We unfortunately we have worked a lot in terms of defense and all, but we were not able to create the fabric of our culture. And that fabric of culture, the social culture, has to be developed right from the grassroots level, right from the school level, tertiary level, where we're learning and we are talking to each other, and then learning how to manage our thought processes and how to restrict ourselves for those desires which are for the opposite side. That is where you have to understand, and a relation of respect has to be developed. So this requires a lot of curriculum revamping in our schools, in our colleges as well. Because I've seen some of the misbehaviors from even at the college level or university level. You would find that girls would have to face. And the problem is they cannot even go home and tell their parents, because if they tell their parents,
they'll take them out of
the institution. So the consequence for them would be even grave. They are the victims, and they will be sentenced on the victimization, right? So this is where you really have to understand, and acceptability has to be you need to develop in that manner.
That's very true, sir. It's been such a pleasure. I don't know where the time went. And I think we would need another session. This is such a vast topic, and we were able to touch upon. Yeah. So the moral is that I absolutely agree that we really need to revamp our syllabus and at least teach our sons and the people around us, our students, the value that is being wrongly, given to us, like a wrong mindset. We need to change the mindset. And again, empathy, kindness, boundaries, and respect. I mean, this should be the hallmark of any person if you want to develop. And if the society is developed when we are in sync and in harmony, because in this situation when everybody is threatened and nobody grows, I mean, it's a downward trend for any society. So this is a very wake up call for all of us, that even the young men and the young kids are not safe going out. If the women are not safe going out, it's the young kids are not even safe going out. So it is just not against women. Everybody is affected by it. So thank you so much, sir, and for your time and for your insights. And and thank you so much, and take care. And in the end, audience, like we always say, be compassionate, be empathetic, and this is how we have to create a harmonious society. All the very best, sir. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.